Hey guys, it's Savage and welcome back to the channel. And today we're at RAF Valley in North Wales on the island of Anglesey. And yes, the two-seat Hawker Hunter T7. This is a freeware aircraft by Dave Garwood. Dave did a bunch of amazing aircraft back in the FSX days, and this is no different. And we're going to give this old classic a real kicking. We're up here at an add-on scenery for Valley, which I'll be putting in the description. Same with Mona. We should be having a fun time today. Now, this aircraft, of course, we'll go over the details of it once we're actually in the air and talk about the Hunter itself, but let's take a little bit of a look around us, shall we? We'll pop outside first. We do like to make sure we do that sometimes, don't we? So, let me slow my camera down. Like, honestly, Dave's work is pretty up there. For free, it's an impressive add-on. We have chalks, we have ladders. I see used ones too. Nothing the RAF has is that shiny. Well, they do sometimes. But things like that get well used. We've got intake covers, we've got pitot covers, all the gubbings and doodads and whatnots, and selectable payloads. Now, these are all tank payloads, fuel tank payloads. They're not ordnance, but hey, why not? Also, we have Hawks. And a Typhoon and an F-35. Or Lightning II. We're calling it. Nice. RAF Valley. It's a training establishment on Anglesey here. You'll see we've got a bunch of the Hawker Hunter trainers here. There's a bunch of different aircraft around here. Great little scenery, but I digress. Let's get back to the Hunter, shall we? So let's pop inside here and take a look at the cockpit. Now, canopy is controlled by this toggle here. Up and up it goes. We can look around outside. Canopy goes burr. Nice and simple, right? Starting this beast is really not difficult. Obviously, we turn our battery on, so we're going to move the flight stick first. Which is a little toggle down here. We've got camera power as well. Doesn't really do much in this aircraft, but got my battery switches on, which would be down there for master battery. Mine's already on. We'd put our low pressure fuel cock open and high pressure fuel cock open. We would make sure we get our left and right boost pumps on. Now, we talked about the different loadout options. If we look outside, we have 4 drop tanks. We've got our gun there, the cannon, under the fuselage. And we can toggle that between a couple of different variants, including 2. I'm not sure what the difference to this one is, because it's still just 2. Are they bigger or smaller? They look to be the same. Or we could strip it completely light and run with nothing. I think for this one, we'll just run 2 tanks, so we'll go with that. Oh wait, does it actually just take the pylon off the outside? It does. Ah, right, we can run 2 without the extra pylons. We'll do that. So, once we get ready to start up, it's a pretty simple process. We put our master starter on, open the starter cover, which is down here, and it's a bit of a coal pit, like a lot of British post-war aircraft are. Textures aren't amazing, but at the same time it's free, so I'm okay with that. It looks more than good enough for my taste. I'm perfectly happy with how this looks. Plus, we have all our little functions and features with our lights. We have more lights. More lights. In fact, let's put these all on. Let's turn it to nighttime and see how this looks, shall we? Do we have one down there as well? I don't think we do. Let's quickly go to nighttime. Take a quick look around. So, pretty good. Low level visibility on the lighting. We can turn it up and down as we wish to. Just to have exactly what we want visible. And we can go back to daytime. There we go. We'll turn that off as well. And we'll turn that off as well. So, starting again, very simple. We just hold this. Pull our canopy in, and you'll notice once it starts up, all the bits and pieces will go off the aircraft. Now, pilots will appear. They are period correct British pilots. By the way, here is all the liveries that come with this aircraft. There's a load, so really lots of options. And we have, over here, we have various lighting, tailhook options, beacon at nav. And if we go down here, we can turn on the gun sight, including using the sun visor. So really lots of options in this aircraft. We can jettison our tanks, we do that during the flight. If we toggle this down, we get our braking chute on our landing. So let's get ourselves going, shall we? We'll close that. We'll talk about the Hunter once we're in the air, more specifically the actual aircraft and its history. Okay. Switch my head on here. Let's go, shall we? I think I put my parking brake on, so we'll just disable that. There we go. So we'll just turn this off while we taxi. Okay, so the Hunter, of course, is transonic British jet aircraft developed by Hawker in the late 40s and 50s. It was one of our first jets other than the Meteor, and it ran at the very new, at the time, Rolls-Royce Avon turbojet. It's swept wing, first of its type in British service, of course, and it was the first jet aircraft produced by Hawker, which is kind of cool, important to their history as a company. We're taxiing back for the runway over here now, so we'll just be a little bit in a straight line here for a moment. It first was acquired by the RAF in 1953, and the first prototype, modified one, broke the world airspeed record for aircraft, achieving 727 miles an hour at the time, which is crazy speed, 632 knots. So really one of the best jets at the time. It entered service in 1954 as a single-seat variant. This is the T7, the twin. The later model was modular almost. You could basically have the fuselage back, so if we look outside here, essentially this spine portion and back here would remove, and you could basically put the single-seat or twin-seat cockpit on the front, and both the twin and single cockpit variants were combat capable. So twin or otherwise, it was still suitable for combat. Obviously, we had the Lightning turn up in the 60s, which became the Interceptor, and this really fitted a night fighter and all-weather role for the Royal Air Force. Of course, was filled eventually by the Javelin. So let's get ourselves ready here. Let's turn my head on. We're going to head to North Wales and play around in Snowdonia with this aircraft, so we should be good. Let's give ourselves some flaps here for takeoff. I know I'm the only aircraft around Valley today, so we should be good for this one. Should be looking for nose wheel up at about 120 and rotating away, pulling away at 150. So advance our throttles. No afterburner on this aircraft, of course. A little bit before that era. Canopy's locked because we're moving now. Keep my eye on my airspeed. 100 knots. 120, we can lift our nose wheel. We're flying away here just before 150. So we're back. Flight Sim's been having a bit of a moment recently with my graphics card. Don't know what's causing it, but it's the only game that does it. For some reason it has a crash occasionally. So we basically just carried on from where we left off here. We're going to head south from Valley, and we're going to set ourselves up to run down the coast towards Snowdonia, just ahead of us. Yep, thank you very much. This is what happens when you take off from a runway because you're annoyed. Go away. Thank you very much. Now, did you know over 1,900 of these aircraft were built? Yeah. They saw conflict from the 50s through to very recently. Things like Suez Crisis, Aden, Sino-Indian War, Indo-Pakistani War of the 65 era, India-Pakistan 70s, Rhodesian Bush War, Congo War, Six-Day War, Yom Kippur War. 1,972 were produced. In fact, they're still in service with Zimbabwe's Air Force, and they were in service up until 2014 with, I believe it was Lebanon. Now, this is such a useful aircraft and in service, and primary users being India, RAF, Sweden, and Swiss, that it's still in use as a aggressor aircraft for contractors and warbird in private hands. It's pretty quick. No, it's an iconic aircraft as well, and it was only really replaced by aircraft like the Harrier and the F4. That's how iconic this has been in terms of a fighter, light fighter, ground attack, fighter bomber sort of aircraft role. There's Carnarvon down below us. We'll be heading back there when we're done with today's flight. And we'll get down to Snowdonia ahead of us here. Pull our speed back a little bit. Very quick aircraft, this one. I think we're clocking past 450 right now. So we can get into where we want to be super duper quick. Now, I don't exactly know the routing of the Mach Loop, but we're still going to run through Wales anyway because it's fun. It'll be easy to find our way back to Carnarvon too. That should be useful for us. Let's get down low and play with this thing and its ground attack sort of capability, being a manoeuvrable jet of its era. Drop our speed down here below 400. I must say it's quite exciting to be able to run at this sort of speed. One of the many mines, most likely slate down there in North Wales. Now, bear in mind I am flying this with a flight yoke, so it's not perfect, but we're doing our best. Gorgeously rendered part of the world too, this. Turning's a little bit stiff, but we are moving quite quickly. Let's bump up that speed, shall we? See what she'll do at full boom. Let's give it some motion lotion and have a crack. Surprising how far I can travel really with these kind of speeds. Let's get it down lower. We're not high, we're not low enough right now. Oh, yeah, this is it. Giving it the full beans here. Rudder authority is pretty low at this kind of speed. Now, it is technically a subsonic aircraft, but it can go transonic in a dive. Oh, this is exciting. This is very exciting. This is a very capable aircraft, and it flies like a dream in the sim. If you wanted a really fun and relatively easy to fly fighter, this is definitely on that list. Oh! Boom! We are shifting, boys and girls. Probably putting a lot of G's doing that, so let's power back. Whew. That was spicy. Actually really enjoyed that. Ease the pressure off here, drop back to about 450. We'll find another run back through on our way. Playing in the Snowdonia range is always a good time. But Carnarvon is one of the Orbex airports. In fact, there is a scenery for that one, and I highly recommend you get it if you fly in England a lot. It's a beautiful place, and home to the aviation museum that actually first introduced me to my love of aircraft. It was where I experienced my first flight in my life. I think I was maybe less than 10 years old, and we got to go up for a pleasure flight down the Menai Straits near Anglesey, or that cuts Anglesey from North Wales, in a Cessna with my dad and my grandmother. And it was what started the bug for me. Now, my dad actually worked around these when he was in the Royal Air Force in the 70s. You know, the Royal Air Force and Royal Navy still had these around till the 90s in second line and training roles. Yeah, kind of crazy, isn't it? Alright, let's go down here. We'll find ourselves a way back, shall we? And we'll head our way up towards the north of the country. Visibility is fantastic. Oh, and here's a cool fact. You can move these mirrors. Position wherever you like. Right. The quarrying detail around Wales is fantastic, isn't it? Let's open the boomsticks up. We'll cut north through this valley. Full attack run. Probably. Whoa. What am I doing? I'm doing something wrong. That's it. Okay, we're way too high up. Let's get this down. Off center after I had to try and adjust things on my controls. Let's make things a little bit more interesting, shall we? There we go. I'm guessing this is the right direction to pull in. Yep, follow the river. Yeah. This thing is a blast. Probably terrifying people on the ground here. I think we've been up this one before, but it all looks very similar at about 600 knots, or, yeah, about there. I wonder what we can get out of this in terms of climb. Oh, that'd be a big G. Another dam down there. We're almost vertical here. God, that's a gorgeous mountain range. Oh, below 200 knots. Let's push this nose down. And we're at 20,000 feet in less than a minute. It's pretty impressive. And there's all of Anglesey, by the way. Yep. All of Anglesey. And that is Snowdonia. But I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, I think that's Snowdon. Or one of those. I can't tell. I'm not used to seeing it from this angle. Pull the power back here. Little look-see-doodle outside. She is a gorgeous little aircraft, isn't she? It's weird seeing it with the bulbous nose, but I'm so familiar with seeing Hunters, both the single and twin seat models, that it really does look gorgeous, doesn't it? Dave did a fantastic job with it, and the liveries are all amazing. The aircraft looks fantastic. The sounds are gorgeous. Right. I think Mona should be on Anglesey over there. If I look for the highway, I should be able to see it. We'll do touch and goes at Mona, then we'll come in for Carnarvon for our final landing. Anglesey's not a big place, so we should be able to spot it relatively simply. Look for a couple of quarries around, and we should be good to go. And down there, in fact, we'll go for a quick look-see-doodle actually, while I pull the power back, is Beaumaris. In fact, that's the Menai Straits, by the way. This whole area here is Menai Straits, where I took my first pleasure flight in an aircraft. And right there, that is Beaumaris Castle, in the beautiful seaside town. If you want a seaside town in England and Wales, that's the one to go to. Beaumaris is stunning. Okay, let's work out where Mona is. Mona's a RAF subsidiary field. Mostly used these days for touch and goes. I don't even know if it's still operational, but it was used for touch and goes. Let's see if we can spot it down there. I have scenery for it. But we haven't exactly got a ton of room to search. It should be relatively easy to find. Look for the runway in the stuff. It should be somewhere around where the highway cuts up towards Holyhead. That might be it down below. Just on our 11. It might not be, but I think that's the highway there, so we could be relatively on point here. Or we could be completely off target. We're off target, that's not it. Where are you? I know if I can find Aberfrau, we'll find it relatively well. Where are you? RAF Mona. Should be around here. That's Newborough Forest there, so it should be to our north. That might be it there. That should be it, yeah. Because that's Newborough Forest down there. Right down the headland. That would be Aberfrau over there, past the sand dunes, which makes Mona there. So we'll set up for a come around. The speed's already coming down, so we should be good. We'll enter the pattern kind of late here. We don't want to spend ages running around in the pattern for this. So we should be able to take a wide sweeping descending. No, we're too fast. We'll come and do a circuit. So we'll come along centre line and we'll do a break around. Yep, that's Mona right ahead of us. Do a centre line break here. That should kill a lot of our speed off. We'll get our gear and flaps deployed and come in for our landing approach. There's the highway. I told you it was next to the highway, didn't I? Although I never realised it was this big. I will say that howl is very typical of the Avon engines. You hear that same sound in the I believe the Vulcan used the same Avon. Listen. Oh, it builds up to a shriek. Listen. You hear that whine, howl build up to a shriek with that low gravelly undertone. That. Imagine 4 of those attached to a Vulcan bomber as it does a low pass overhead and picks up to full power. Right. We've been gaining speed if you don't want, so let's brake here. We should be keeping our wingtip off the runway in terms of spacing, so we should be okay here. Might be a little bit wide, but not by far. Yeah, we're a little bit wide, but it'll be fine. It'll give us a bit more room to kind of bleed off some speed. Now, we're not going to set our parachute to deploy because we're not doing a full stop landing here. We're doing a touch and go. So we don't want to waste that. Yeah, we should basically be putting our pylon on the wingtip there, the pitot tube, just off the runway. Is meant to be the pattern width for this aircraft with manual. We'll go as far as those fields to our 11 now behind the B pillar, or the A pillar, and we'll turn it round and bring her in. Gear down. 1 notch flaps. And now we start a descending turn to final. coming around. Looking good here. Speed's dropping down. Straighten her out. Let the nose drop a little bit here. It's got very good positivity at low speeds as well, which is quite surprising. Makes for a very fun aircraft to fly. There is something about British aircraft with this vintage, I must say. There's a certain classic car feel to them. Like a British sports car. I feel like it should be Jeremy Clarkson talking about power. Oh god, that made me feel disgusting. We bounced and we're back up in the ground air again. So we'll maintain that for now and we'll power around like we were intending to do. I kind of got a bit too focused on feeling disgusted about doing a Clarkson than I did on flying the aircraft. So we'll make for Carnarvon and we'll set up for our final approach there and we'll deploy our chute as we do it. That's our touch a go at Mona. But we'll make a quick detour first. It's not far, it's about a minute. We're at the coast there. Keep our power back here, we don't want to go crazy with the speeds. Genuinely no need. We should be 12 o'clock right there. The sand dunes. There's the lake. Just up our nose there. I'm going to show you where I spent most of my childhood summers. From the air. Now, my family would stay in a little holiday cottage right on the beach down here. It's the village of Aberfrau, right there. There's a medieval bridge in the town, gorgeous little thing, not used for cars anymore, but there's a road bridge. But this sand dune area here, here comes the river Frau. Aberfrau is Welsh, meaning mouth of the Frau. There's the river Frau leading from the lake here, all the way down there to there. And right there is the holiday cottage we used to spend the summers in. Little village there, you could walk there in like 10 minutes. And there was a little holiday cottage which you had to go winding through lanes to get there. And you basically had the whole estuary, the sand dunes, and the beach largely to yourself. Because there really was no access to it. So you were there and it was super quiet. It was amazing. Wonderful place. Tranquil, beautiful. I'd love to go back one day. There's an Anglesey race circuit there, by the way. I've actually commentated there in real life. Motor racing. Yes. I know this island far too well. Right, Carnarvon's 11 o'clock right now, so we're going to set ourselves up to make our approach into Carnarvon. Just nudge that back a touch. And we should be good to go, so let's make sure we aren't doing that. Carnarvon should be off our 11 and a half. Oh, I am zoomed all the way out. That's unfortunate. It's quite a closed-in cockpit feeling in this aircraft. There's Carnarvon. Not sure what our winds are today, so we're going to chance it. I think we're taking this runway here in front of the actual building, so we'll join at this oblique angle. In fact, those are disused, so that answers our question for us. Brake here, try and keep this a little tighter this time, try and improve our pattern without pushing our nose up. It wants to climb. Also, we're going to arm our chute this time by. Drop that down. And we've climbed dramatically, dear God. That was not part of the plan. We'll have to extend our downwind here to compensate. And we're again kind of wide of the pattern. I keep overestimating what it wants. I guess the tighter kind of corner in the pattern is to help brake the aircraft, help slow it down. Which I'm not doing. I'm turning wider than I should be. I'm still fighting the urge to pull up as I turn in this. Here's the transition gear is down and locked, all 3 green. And I'm once again climbing like an idiot. Let's push that down. Start a descending turn here. Unfortunately gaining speed, which will hopefully bleed off on our final approach. This is more of a regular box pattern. Just too big. God, what am I doing? Way too big. Well, speed's bleeding off nicely now, actually, so we're okay. Give it a little juice, because now we're a bit too low down. There's the runway. Coming around to final. We're looking pretty set up here. Little off to the side. Correct that. Speed's still good. Speed's still good. Not a ton of runway to mess with here, so... And there goes our chute out. Brakes are on full. Steering, steering, steering. There we go. And our chute will disappear once we slow down enough. And we just about did it. Nice. Let's get ourselves turned around here. This is a pleasure to fly, to learn. This is really my longest first flight with this aircraft since downloading it. It's a pleasure to taxi, pleasure to operate, looks good. Everything's smooth and operates well. Performance in the sim is fantastic. If Dave's making an aircraft for MSFS like this, then I'm going to be very happy. Because, don't forget, he did the Dragon Rapide that got updated to the sim. There should be parking just up here on the right. Unless that's it with the Coast Guard helicopters. Because the museum's over there. There's got to be a taxiway, right? No? No taxiway? We're making our own taxiway. It's okay, we're only a jet that's probably going to dig itself into the ground here. Nobody cares, do they? Now we're a 4-wheel drive jet because it's British, so it's basically a Land Rover. Means it's more than capable of this. But I'm pretty sure you can take it bush flying. There we go. It's bloody British, it'll do fine. Okay. And the aircraft is dark. And there is the Air Museum. One of my first places where I originally fell in love with aircraft. And yes, it was RAF Llanrog. Whatever that is in Orcish, I'm not sure. But there you go. The Hawk Hunter, Dave Garwood. Fantastic, tons of fun to fly. I hope you guys enjoyed a little trip around North Wales today. Feels like we did quite a lot of travelling. And have a good one. Bye.